Hello, it's Cynthia again. Welcome back to Halos, Tarot, Angels, and Spiritual Advising channel. And tonight's topic, I want to address why people would be tarot readers and why they would go get tarot readings. So what's going on with people that want to read the tarot, and what is going on with people that want to go get tarot readings or spiritual advising of any kind. But I'm focusing on the tarot, but I think this can be applicable to anybody in any kind of advisor. So I just made a list of about 20 things that I think are pretty universal for why people would read tarot cards, why they would be interested in doing that. So why read the tarot? One reason is because there's a lot of people who want to be lay counselors. They want to do counseling, but they aren't professionally trained as psychologists or other forms of counseling, professional counseling. So tarot gives people the opportunity to counsel others from the viewpoint of a caring heart and good common horse sense. So it's not a state license type of thing, but it is a way to care about others and put your talents to work in a way that you can utilize them for counseling. And that leads into another kind of counseling that's just come up within the last decade, and that's called life coaching. And I think tarot was the original life coaching back whenever it started. And the history of it's not really clear, but long before life coaching was on the map, long before we knew what psychology and psychiatry was, we had tarot cards and tarot readers, and people went to see them for logic, common sense, guidance, somebody to, get things off their chest, their worries, try to figure out what was going to happen next. So life coaching is met in the tarot as the original life coaching method. Generally helping others. When you can take time to listen to other people and just care about them, tarot just gives you an avenue to offer that as a way to reach out to people. If you're a good listener, some people just love to hear from other people, know what their story is, and not just to help them, but just because you're a good listener. And caring about others. I've said that a couple times already. If you're deeply spiritual, and that's different from whatever your religion is. Some people have a religion, others don't, but no matter which you are, you could be deeply spiritual, and for me, that means that you're able to spiritually and emotionally connect with another person or the divine in a way that is helpful and healing and uplifting to one another. It gives you the opportunity to share your spiritual gifts with other people. Spiritual gifts are many, but one of them is good intuition and the ability to advise people with common sense and good direction. It may run in your family, and so you might just want to connect with your family on a certain level and be in tune with what's going on in your family. It is an interesting way to talk to other people. It's a way to have icebreaker. You're very practiced at communicating with other people. So if you're a good communicator, tarot might be something that you'd want to consider using. It's a spiritually generic way to talk to people about spiritual things, faith, love, doing good deeds, believing in a higher power. So you can share your faith, but remain generic so that you can be on the same page with somebody, even if they have a different religion than you do. You can still connect. It's a way to face your fears. To begin with, some people are afraid of tarot cards. So once they look into them, they realize that this isn't really scary. So you've overcome something you're afraid of. But when you use them, sometimes you have things that you are uncomfortable with in your life. And the tarot helps you to sort out and see that situation from a bird's eye view. And suddenly the problem's a lot smaller than it seemed. And your fears dissipate. So that alleviates you of worrying. So using tarot cards helps you to not worry about stuff so much. It's a good use of your talents. If you're good at communicating, if you're good at caring about others, if you're a good listener, if you're good at advising, whatever those talents and spiritual gifts that you have been given from on high, those talents can be utilized when you use the tarot. It's a personal interest. Tarot cards are very interesting. They're beautiful. They're filled with symbols. They all have stories. They help you tell stories that happen in everyday life. And so that adds an element of reality to them. We tune in the TV, the radio, we read books that are fiction. None of that's real. But when you tell the story of someone's life with tarot cards, that's a soap opera happening in real time to a real person. And that's really much more interesting than anything anybody could write about that's fiction. So the joy of talking to others, communicating, is just, it makes them one of the more interesting hobbies to have. And that brings me to my next point. It is a hobby, collecting tarot cards, looking at them. Some are vintage, some are out of print, some are museum quality. You can learn to draw them. There's so many things you can do. And just collecting the decks, that alone is a hobby, because some of them do go out of print and then they can gain value. They're interesting. They're filled with symbols. There's so many avenues you can explore with them. Numerology is one of them, astrology, life coaching, advising people, learning to communicate better. I mean, there's just so many things that you can use them for. If you just love to collect things, different people have different things they focus on collecting. You know, bigger items like cars, motorbikes, vintage teacups, salt and pepper shakers, vintage ones, jewelry, art, books. So there's something to be said of collecting tarot cards. They become vintage and they're just neat to collect. And finally, people do get involved with reading tarot cards because you can make money with them. And it's a nice way to make money. How much money you make depends on other talents that you have that lie outside of your abilities to read cards and have intuition. That's your skills in marketing, your ability to build yourself as a personality that people want to hire for that purpose, at parties or in a metaphysical center. But some people read them for free, some people read them for a donation, and some people have a set fee, and some people become famous and are featured on talk shows and make a lot of money with this kind of things, spiritual advising, using tarot cards and so on. So that all depends on how far you want to take that, depends on how successful you are as a business person on top of your intuitive talents. So those are some of the many reasons people decide they want to learn to read tarot cards. And learning to read them involves intuition, and how much intuition you have is something that's, you're born with. You can't necessarily get it, but you can improve it. So, but even if you don't feel that you have intuitive abilities, you can still enjoy tarot cards and learn to use them in a non-intuitive way. Now, why would people go get tarot card readings? Well, one thing that I think is really missing in our world today, and that is personal attention. When you sit at a table with a reader, whether they're reading tarot cards or they're doing some other form of spiritual advising, they are fully focused on just you. There's nobody else. It's you. It's your concern. It's how the people that play out in your life affect you, what their intentions are towards you. It is another person that cares about you for that amount of time, whether your session is 20 minutes, an hour, just 10 minutes. For just a moment in time, you are the center of someone's attention. And I think that in our worry-filled, haphazard, crazy, overextended world, sometimes it's good to just sit down, take a deep breath, and know that someone else cares about you and your problems. And I think the tarot really does that. And so because of that, because you get personal attention from somebody who talks to lots of other people, helps a lot of people solve their problems, that their advice is often very good advice, and it helps to soothe your worries. It's a mysterious practice. We really don't know how tarot cards work. There's a lot of people that claim they know, and that might be just an edge of how they work. And a lot of people don't know how spiritual advising works, whatever type of practice it is. So it's mysterious. And a lot of people are very attracted to the mysteriousness of this profession. As mysterious as it is, though, the information that comes forth is very profound and accurate and surprising. So that just adds to the mystery of it. But a lot of people really enjoy that kind of mystery. And, you know, for the same reason you might enjoy watching a mystery movie or reading a mystery novel, there's a lot of people that really enjoy this mystery. It's a movie of your own life, but it's mysterious. The way information comes forward for you. It's a fun activity. Whether you have a serious problem or you're just passing by a tarot reading shop, a lot of people love to just go in and see what the cards have to say. It's a little more involved than opening the newspaper up and reading your horoscope. It's a little more in depth. And it's just fun to have somebody focus on you and tell you all the things that these cards mean and who's brought up, and it's a fun thing to do. And so if you go to a beach town or a tourist town, sometimes malls, the Ren Fest, somebody has a party, a New Year's Eve party, a Halloween party, a summer garden party, a fundraising banquet, oftentimes a psychic or a tarot reader will be invited to come and read for the many guests, and it's just really fun. It's a fun thing, and it also gives people a lot to talk about when their turn's over. So it's a fun group activity. Lots of people want to have a tarot reader come in and tell them and their guests all this stuff, and there are groups of people that have readings together. It's not just an individual thing. So it's a fun activity to offer at a party, whether it's a huge corporate party, a party store, a bookstore, or a home party for Halloween, New Year's, birthdays, whatever. It's a fun activity for parties. It allows people to have a sense of adventure in a safe way. It feels the mysteriousness of it makes it feel just a little dangerous, but there's nothing dangerous about it. And it takes place in a safe place, so it gives you that sense of adventure. Slightly dangerous, but nothing to be afraid of, and yet something different happened to you today that made you feel like you had a little bit of an adventure. More seriously, though, lots of people do visit the tarot and spiritual advisor because they need guidance. Life has thrown a loop to them. There's a lot to balance. They can't handle it. They don't know what's going to happen next. They have an insurmountable problem, and they've been to every possible place to look for answers, solutions. The minister, the psychologist, they've prayed about it. They've done everything they could, and now they need guidance because the problem hasn't resolved itself. That brings me to another reason people go to a tarot reader. They need prayer. And a lot of times, if you can't ask your loved ones, your friends and neighbors and coworkers for prayer, maybe you have a subject that you don't want anybody to really know about right now. It's too personal. So that might be a person that you end up asking, for prayer. And most of the time, your spiritual advisor will help you with that. That brings me to another subject that's a little bit more sad, and that is that in a world full of people, sometimes someone has no one else to turn to. They can't tell their problems to their coworkers, their church group, so they have to go to somebody, and that turns out to be your spiritual advisor. Those people are very trustworthy, and they are good listeners, and you can get all your worries off your chest, and they're there. They will listen. And why can't people go to their loved ones and their close associations in their religion or their work or their neighborhood for prayer or to problem solve? A lot of times things are just so personal that you can't, and you can't risk the gossip. Some people will you'll tell someone something in confidence and they'll slip, or you'll worry that they'll slip. So there are occasions when you just don't want to risk that. It could be a financial issue, it could be a problem with your children, or who knows what it is. But sometimes you just don't want to risk having somebody slip up at the next Thanksgiving dinner and say something that you don't want to talk about right now. Sometimes you're just desperate to know the answer to a problem. There doesn't seem to be a solution in sight, and you need to know, and you need to know now. So your other avenues didn't... I can't even read my own handwriting. Hold on now. Sorry. Let's see what it says here. Your other avenues didn't help. So you've already tried to solve your problem by many means. Say it's a financial problem. You got an extra job. You have asked for financial help from other places. You've talked to people. You've done everything you could, and you can't get this problem solved. And you need to know, is there an end in sight? What will happen? How will it play out? So you have to a lot of people end up going to a spiritual advisor to see what will happen. I'm desperate. I need to know. And those desperate feelings are real, and the spiritual advisor may be the only person you have left to see if there's any solutions. Sometimes people need a break from their religious background or their culture. Have you ever been to Disney World? I went there a few years ago, and it's quite a spectacular place. It feels like a real city. And it really is. There's a busing system, there's buildings, there's stores, there's restaurants, and then there's this amusement park aspect to it and all of the characters. So kind of going there kind of takes you out of life. It's a reality, but it's not your regular life. And so this kind of is the same thing, only in miniature. You can step away from your regular life for just 20 minutes and see your life play out before you on a stage that's a table, and you're suddenly out of that problem looking into it as a spectator. And you don't have to follow protocol. You know, if you go to your religion, you might get told, well, pray so many times, or you've done something wrong that, you know, this is coming back to you. What you sow, you'll reap. Or, you know, you need to go out and do so many good deeds, or you don't know. Or your culture might tell you that, oh, you shouldn't do this or that. And so this gives you a break from having to do performance things, and you just get to talk about your issue and receive an answer for it without someone giving you a list of instructions that you have to follow. Sometimes life is too stressful to have to do that. Another reason is because it's just nostalgic. Whether you look back in time and say, yeah, I have a friend whose mom used to read cards in their kitchen or the garage. It takes me back, good memories. Or you look back at the Victorian era or the medieval era, or whatever era that you kind of are attracted to in the way of fantasy and romance novel type reading, stuff like that. It's a way to actually be able to go back to an era. Because tarot cards are kind of an old thing. You know, they're something that has been done through time. So it helps you to step back in time a little bit. And that kind of is nice too. Having a tarot card reading can be quite comforting. If you have a good reader who really cares about you, delivers the message to you in a gentle, concerned way, you can leave a reading feeling very healed and bolstered to face whatever it is that you need to conquer. Another aspect is that if you have a good reader and they are able to tell you what angels and guides are around you, that helps to strengthen your inner person so that you can face everything out in the world that's difficult and unpleasant. It is a way to help you feel like you're in control. And I don't mean that on a spiritual level, although I know a lot of people look at it that way. But when you look at your life story on a table represented by cards, suddenly your life doesn't seem like it's that difficult. You can pick a card up and lay it down somewhere else. It's like, oh, I can actually control my life. And you might remember the novel Alice in Wonderland. And at some point in the story, she says that she's not afraid because it's all just a deck of cards. All those people in her life that are so difficult, they're just a deck of cards. So it changes your perspective of, I'm in the problem. Instead, you're above the problem and you're seeing that all of it's so futile and so easy to take control over. You don't have to worry about stuff anymore because everybody in your life is just a deck of cards. So it helps you to feel like you can control things a little better. You know, we can't control everything, but it just helps you to feel a little more confident. And also, it's a way for you to check on others in some way. So you don't understand somebody and you can't really ask them. You don't know them well enough. Maybe it's your boss or a neighbor that you don't get along with. And you want to know, why are they acting like that? So you can't ask them, but you can look at the cards and find out what their motives might be. So those are some reasons people would either choose to read tarot cards or get a tarot reading. And I think that's important to understand before we look into the cards, how to read them and conduct readings and so on. And we'll look at the other topics for spiritual advising is, why do it? And who's going to come to you if you do it? It's important to understand that. So I hope that this helped you to get a perspective on this. If you're thinking, oh, I might like to try that, these are some of the reasons why, and maybe those are some of your reasons. Maybe you have different reasons that I haven't listed. So subscribe to my channel and click the like button, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.